Welcome to another Tech Tip in a Tenth. This is a couple of practical and easy to learn and use tech tips in Microsoft Outlook. I'm using Microsoft Outlook 2016. Many of the tips that I show you are going to be applicable to older versions and other versions, so do not fear if you don't have the newest version. These are probably going to work for you anyway. I'm just going to show you 3 quick tips on removing or cleaning up or sort of dealing with the massive amount of emails that I know many of us in a legal office or a legal environment have. So we're going to talk about the ignore button and the cleanup button in the delete section of the ribbon. The ribbon is the area that has all of the menus, features, and functions that are available to you in Outlook. Of course, it's called the ribbon in all of the Microsoft Office products. Actually, now they're just calling it the ribbon across all products that have adopted this style of giving us our options and features. We've got the new section, which of course is first, new email, and then new items. I want to point out very quickly, new items allows you to create a new email message, create a new appointment, or create a new meeting without having to go over to the calendar or over to your contacts folder. The reason I really point this out is if you hover your mouse over one of the menu options, Microsoft Outlook, like many other programs, this is not a tip applicable to only Outlook. You're going to see that this is something you can use across a lot of programs, even on the Mac. If you hover your mouse, it's going to show you what the keyboard shortcut is for executing that command later. So if you're a person who keeps your hands on the keyboard a lot and likes to learn keyboard shortcuts, this is a great tip. Just hover over a button, a feature, a function, or a menu option. If there is a keyboard shortcut, it will often be shown to you. Now on to the real tips for today. We're going to talk about the ignore button and the cleanup button. The ignore button is really helpful when you've got caught in a conversation, a thread, or an email exchange that is irrelevant to you. And the example I always like to use is, let's say there's an email chain going around about next week's potluck lunch, but you're going to be out of the office that day and not available to participate. So you don't want to hear any more about the potluck lunch, and it's unlikely that that thread will ever become an important business email. So the ignore button is helpful for that. Any more messages that come in with that same thread will go straight to the garbage. Directly underneath the ignore button, you'll see the cleanup button, and this one does something similar but a little bit different. What this one does is clean up repetitive or duplicative messages that are part of a thread. So if you and your client have been going back and forth for 4 days and you've accumulated 16 individual emails in your inbox for that thread, you know that the first 15 contain all the messages that the newest one, the 16th, the one at the top of your inbox, holds. You can tap on the cleanup button and choose whether to clean up an entire conversation, a folder, or a folder and all of its subfolders. In this case, I'm just going to pick one conversation, so I click Cleanup Conversation, and it says, okay, all redundant messages are going to be moved to, and you can actually choose by clicking on Settings which folder those messages will move to. So if you aren't too keen on having things go straight into the deleted items, you can choose another folder like I have here in my example, which is Archived Folders. So what's great about this is it allows me to store or keep or at least hold on to for a short period of time the newest email that has the entire thread in it. And then if you are using a practice management program or a document management program that allows you to store emails, then you're able to just choose that one as opposed to all 15 if that's your method of storing email messages. The final tip I'm going to show you in today's Tech Tip in a Tenth is about replying to an email message with an appointment. So over to the right of the delete section, the next section is called the respond section, where of course you respond to email messages. You're going to see in here an option to reply to a meeting. Now sometimes the buttons on the ribbon are not all shown to you based on the size of your screen. It might be collapsed, or if you have the ribbon in simple mode, which over here all the way on the right hand side there's an up arrow that collapses the ribbon and only shows me what it thinks are my most used or most relevant buttons. So if you don't see the reply with meeting in your ribbon, just make sure you're showing the entire ribbon option. So you're going to look for a button that when you hover over it, it says reply with meeting, and you'll notice that the keyboard shortcut for this is Control-Alt+R. When I click on that button, whether I'm in a message or on a message, as I am here. I'm on that message. When I click reply with meeting, it then converts all of the details from that message into a meeting request. It takes the subject of the email and turns it into the title of the appointment or the meeting. It takes all the parties and puts them in the required field, and then it's up to me to fill in the details for start time, end time, and date. Of course, at that point, I can also add or remove participants, and one of the other cool things it does is it takes the body of the email and puts it in the notes section, so that any other pertinent information that may have been part of the message is now stored in the appointment. I hope those were 3 helpful tech tips when it comes to Microsoft Outlook, and we'll see you next time for another Tech Tip in a 10th.